So this DevOps session, this DevOps webinar should help you to understand what the whole DevOps skill base is all about, and which should help you to take up a career in DevOps. We call this redefine IT strategy. DevOps is redefining the IT strategy of a lot of organizations, and equally it is also redefining a lot of careers as well. So this is one of the kind of course, I think, world over, and we have helped a lot of people acquire these skills, yeah, there are a lot of notions about who should be actually participating in this. So I should clearly state that be it a developer, be it a sysadmin, or anybody who knows about systems should participate to understand. This is a new skill base which is kind of gathering a lot of momentum, and in the days to come, you should see you will see a lot of requirement for this kind of skills, especially as organizations are slowly scaling up to internet levels. Not the big guys, but at least 20–30% of to that level. And if it is moving towards that level, then we would require such kind of skills to start off. Okay, what do we like to know about this particular course? Understand the use cases of DevOps, understand what DevOps itself, understand the benefits of DevOps, understand the skills required to be a DevOps, and what are the processes that we may require to implement DevOps in your organization, and explore a lot of tools, and let's look at a use case as well on how the DevOps is going to be. Now, what's DevOps? Okay, so he says here it's development and operations. So Dev says Dev is used as a shorthand for developers in particular, but in practice it's even wider, and it means that all people involved in developing the product. That indicates product, QA, etc. And Ops is a term for systems engineers, administrators, operations staffs, DBAs, and network engineers, security powers, and various other roles. Now, the first question that arises in anybody's mind is DevOps, is it a new kind of system role, or is it new kind of a development role? But I should say this is an emerging new role which comprises of having system side of knowledge and dev skills for you to actually start working on this particular field. And I should also tell you here, we are not replacing any dev engineers with DevOps, or are we neither creating an ops engine, are neither we replacing any ops engineer with dev. That is not the case here. It is a case of a unique skill base that is evolving because of new standards in operation and the scale of operations that is emerging because of the deluge of data that is accumulating in various organizations which in the present world. Okay, so that's where it is. So there is no replacement here. It's a new emerging field, and a dev guy could be a DevOps, or an ops guy could be a DevOps. Okay, so there is nothing that anybody is replacing anybody here. It's an absolutely new emerging field. Okay, why DevOps? Okay, so in delivering valuable software to customers, too often development and operations are in conflict with each other. Right. So now we have noticed our traditional way of development and operations. Now let's take a case of having any of these branded products within your organization. Let's say you have a Linux or a Java, right? Now you want to troubleshoot something in that. If something goes wrong and you want to troubleshoot, do you ever have access to a dev guy, or does a dev guy know what that he should include in the code so that his so that his system is stable. Now we don't have that scenario happening, right? Now DevOps has emerged as this new strategy for operations, which would make sure that there is close integration of your dev and your ops team to to manage this entire the operations aspect. So the ops team would continue to manage it, and the dev team would continue to develop products. But when a problem would arise, they would both be involved in fixing that. Okay, so so then you may still ask, is there a separate, we still have a separate dev and an ops, but the person who is in between this is the guy who would know the dev side of it as well as the ops side of it, to take a call on which person and who should be sitting along to fix up this whole scenario. Okay, and that's not all, but there is much more to it. As we go along the slides, we will see that. Okay, so DevOps as a solution. So instead of seeing these two groups, that is the development, as silos who pass things along but don't really work together, DevOps recognizes the interdependency of software development and IT operations and helps an organization to produce software and IT services more rapidly with frequent iterations. Now today, if you know, most of our applications are web facing. That is one. Two, they are all getting deployed on virtualized environment. If they're not, they're definitely going along that path. Okay, so once you have an app which is more internet facing and then it is more virtualized, so that also means we are catering to an audience which are in millions and who also wants to see change happening that much fast. Correct? Now, how do you envisage a solution which involves tools and practices to get this kind of agile operations, as we want to call it? Okay, so that's what DevOps give you, and for the DevOps for that kind of operations to happen, we require two things. Apart from the operations, that is your ITIL based solutions and software development, which is its own development cycle, there is a need for another set of tools and another set of people to enable this integration to happen, and which we want to call is more agile. Okay, so there is a bridging of operations and development in an agile way, and that's what DevOps is all about. Okay, so yeah, DevOps is the practice of operations and development engineers participating together in an entire service lifecycle from design through the development to the production support. Okay, initially there was agile development, and when agility aspect was applied to operations, it became agile development. Thus DevOps was formed. Okay, but what I want to tell you is it was just not transforming of a set of operations to an agile format which helped DevOps. That was not the case. For DevOps to happen, you require very specific set of tools and very specific set of skills a person should have to make this happen in an organization, right? So if your organization today wants to adopt DevOps as the operations strategy, then the first question you will ask is, do I have the right set of people, and do I have the right set of tools, and then finally, do I have the right set of process to get in this? So at this moment, it may not be there within your organization, and you may have to bring this all together, and we will see what those tools are, what those processes are to help you adapt to it. And for me, it is to tell you that how these set of tools which you should understand and learn, and then you can then help your organization to adopt DevOps. Okay. So DevOps is not a new concept. It is not a new concept. This existed in all the internet organizations, from the Yahoos down onwards to Googles to Facebooks to Twitter to LinkedIn. It all existed there, but it was never revealed much into the enterprise world. But when enterprises themselves started experiencing this deluge of data, they also had to, they also have to adopt ways to manage this kind of deluge. Okay, so around so a perfect storm of converging agile methodology and a theory of constraints. Okay, so if you have a constraints, how do you overcome that? Then lean IT services management came together in 2009 through a smattering of conferences, talks, and Twitter debates worldwide that eventually became the philosophy behind DevOps. So DevOps existed prior to 2009. It's just that, yeah, we got the a perfect storm at that kind of moment in time, because it was that point of inflection which would change the whole scenario of how we would do the operations. Okay. 2009 was also the bad phase of IT, and people had to, everybody wanted to do this lean IT services management, right? Everybody wanted to do lean IT services. So as an example, now if you were to look beginning of 2000 or a late 90s, if you were to be operating a set of Unix systems, when I say administering a set of Unix systems, you would ideally find a set of 40 systems or so assigned to one engineer who would manage that. But today, isn't that changed? Today it's not 40, so that means an engineer is probably managing more than 1,000 a system, more than 1,000 and beyond that. And if you are in the internet kind of organization, it may be as massive as 5,000 to 10,000 systems. Now, a single person in a single shift, if he has to operate this kind of scenario, right, he should have some set of unique skills, he should have some set of unique tools, and of course, some operation guidelines on how to do this entire management, right? That is what DevOps is all about, and that's what we're going to see through this entire slides, right? So now what is the benefits that DevOps bring in? First thing, consistent operations delivery. That means when we replace, when one engineer is kind of managing 1,000 systems, 1,000 to 10,000 systems or so, then we are definitely bringing in consistency, because there is no manual intervention. You can't expect a single engineer to manage 1,000 systems, right? So there is some kind of consistency being brought into operations because of certain set of tools. Okay, then then we know that today applications are internet facing, and then we need change quick. We can't wait for weeks for change to get reflected in our application. So if the sales team and the sales and the marketing decide that this is a new feature that I need to add to my application, I should be able to turn around that in hours or even day. If not days, it should be even in hours. Okay, that's the kind of speed that we are looking at. And how do you get in such kind of speed? So we just get back into the manufacturing world, right? How did you bring in speed? We bought an automation, right? Once you get an automation, you find speed, you find consistency, and that's what happened with operations. Okay, so definitely faster, mean time to recover and faster resolution of problems because of all this DevOps. And business benefits: reduced operations costs, shortened lead time for new features, improved client services, and more time available to add value. Okay, so this is what DevOps brought in, and I should tell you, DevOps, as I mentioned a little time back, DevOps existed in all these internet organizations. Now, what did not happen is adoption of these kind of strategies in corporate world, and our focus here is to help you guys get those same set of skills which people in Yahoo's and Google's and Facebook's have, so that you could get the same skills and adopt this in your enterprise organization. So definitely there's going to be some retrofitting there, but that is the same skills we want to teach you, and so that you could then go and work in your organization in the same way what happens in those big organizations as well. Okay, so you need, as I said, some set of skills to be a DevOps guy, right? And you know why it is. So I've told you that there is a unique requirement for a person to be considered as a DevOps role, right? So first is you should have system skills, so ability to administer and customize them. You should bring in a lot of scripting skills. So our traditional scripting, that is your bash, sed, awk, that is your starting point of probably becoming a DevOps engineer. Okay, apart from just knowing system. And again, mind you, this is not system admin focused skill. And developer can as well as have all this. It's not focused on sys guys alone. It is both dev and sys. Yeah, yes, there are enough devs who know all of these skills, as well as there are enough sys guys who know all of these skills. Okay, so you should get your scripting skills, coding skills. Now, DevOps requires full-fledged coding skills. So that means I would need to know up to the level of oops and stuffs, right? So that means you should be a strong developer. Now, when I say developer, I'm not looking at application development. This is system automation skills. When I say system automation skills, you should know how you'll connect between two systems, how will you transfer data between two systems, and then how will you write some code which can help you to manage these 1,000 systems. So these are the skills you need to get. So you should have pretty strong coding skills. Okay, not in the line of application development, but in the line of systems management. Okay, so that is why the coding is primarily kind of revolving around Perl, Python, and Ruby. Okay, so these are the languages which are essentially used in this particular operations. You may not find much of Java and C and C++. C and C++ definitely not going to be there, but you won't find your Javas being around in this particular space. Okay. Apart from that, you require to know process reengineering. You should know how you would realign your ITIL towards DevOps. Okay. Now that's another set of it. Now, apart from these coding and scripting skills, there is two very important skills which helps in the automation framework. Okay, so this is called configuration management, and you have a set of tools which I'm sure you should be familiar with, your Puppets, your Chefs, Salt Stacks, Ansibles, and there are many more upcoming. And so the original guy was actually the CF engine, if you are kind of knowing a little bit on DevOps, and which started, way back in mid-90s, who actually started this whole concept for DevOps in enterprise world. And apart from that, we require bare metal automation as well. Okay, so you need to know how you would deploy your operating systems, your hypervisors, right? your containers, etc. Now this is another setup, and you need to integrate these tools with your development base as well. Okay, so there is this two terms which continuously come around, which is called continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay, CI/CD, that's what you would want to, they would call that. So what is continuous delivery? You do the code, do a unit test, integrate, do the acceptance, but that's manual, and then deploy into production. Whereas in continuous deployment, everything is auto, including the acceptances, and this is how we get that very fast turnaround time. Okay, so this is the general operations, how it would happen. As I was saying, there are 4 levels of automation that would come in. So that one is your infrastructure automation, your configuration management of automation, and finally your application deployment automation. Okay, so this is what we see here. So this falls into your part of CI, and this is where your infrastructure automation actually happens. And to keep a complete vigil of all what's happening, you have a monitoring framework which will manage this entire, which will actually keep an eye on all the operations that are happening, so that you can be on the pulse. So yeah, how the DevOps happen, there is a provisioning cycle, there is a configuration cycle, and there's an integration cycle. Now what you need to remember here is none of this are manual. So you provision what? You provision your OS, you provision your hypervisor, you provision your container. That has to happen automatically, okay? Sorry, it's automated. Then after you've done that, you would need to then install your applications, like your load balancers, like your web servers, like your DBs. And how will you do this again? It has to be automated. It has to go through a script, okay, or a line, or like through some automation here. And then finally the integration has to happen. And how do you integrate? You're not going to manually edit your config files to do the integration. That also has to happen through a automation system. So these 3 cycles, when it is fully automated, is what we call the DevOps cycle. At this moment, various levels of automation exist, be it at the integration, configuration, or at the provisioning level. So we talk about these layers of automation. Okay, so we have this infrastructure automation, and the tools that we use are these. Okay, we have the configuration management automation, and the tools that we use are this. Then we have continuous integration, and the tools that we use are these. Okay, you might be familiar with them. And for continuous deployment, these are the tools that you use. Okay, so you see those 4 different layers of the automation that are in place. And as I said, to keep a vigil on all of these guys, you have the monitor. And these are the tools that you use. So how to adopt DevOps? So people in DevOps, process in DevOps, technology in DevOps. So what we saw above is the set of tools that you are going to use. That's a technology part of the DevOps process. So we still stick to the ITIL processes and the people skills, and you know what are the set of skills that you want to have now, right? To get into the DevOps space. Okay, now how much is the adoption? Okay, so this is what I want to tell you here. As we stand today in 2015, we are probably 70–80% virtualized world. Come 2020, I'm sure there is 100% virtualization. When there is virtualization, that's the storm for DevOps. Okay, that is the storm for DevOps. Virtualization literally starts DevOps, and this is where every organization is going to start DevOps. At this moment, yeah, they are not much. but do expect there a surge in demand for DevOps people and the skills as the organization move towards virtualization. Okay, so let's take a use case. So, quite recently we know about this the million day deal which happened in one of the big e-com sites. Okay, now let's take this scenario. A server is designed to handle 10,000 connections. So what will happen if the connection crosses 10K? Can the infra handle? How will you handle such a case, right? So what you want the users to be? Would you want the users to be in pipeline, or would you like them to be serviced immediately? So that means my system can handle 10,000 connections, but the 10,000 plus one comes, it can't handle. So what do? You mean to say we'll go and purchase, we do a capex raise and then purchase system? We just cannot wait, right? We have to handle these 10,000 plus one connection which is come. And how do we do this? Okay, so if they have to be serviced immediately, then we need the exact copy of the existing infra, and more importantly, this infra will have to be built in minutes, not hours, else we lose our business. Okay, so how can we do this? What would it take to do this? What kind of skills are required to get this done? So how do we do this? So we need to get in your infrastructure automation layer, your configuration automation layer, your CI/CD layer, and overall the monitoring aspect. Once you have this, once you have people with those skills to manage those tools, you can minutes bring up a system which will handle the 10,000 plus one connection, and that you will do not in hours, just 5 to 10 minutes, and you will have the new user accessing to it. And this way we are auto scaling without intervention of engineering team or the development team. Okay, that's the the whole message of this particular use case. And how do we achieve such a level of automation? That's what we want to know. So job trends, great. It's only expected to boom. It will boom further because, as I said, the simple mantra, as you move towards virtualization, you would need more such people who's going to handle it. Okay.